A 2022 study in sex and culture reveals that OnlyFans creators experience loneliness, depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Reports indicate a burnout, pressure, isolation, and fear of exposure. I mean, let's take for instance some OnlyFans creators and promoters that actually left the platform and talked negatively about it. Lucy Banks, a prominent former creator, earned up to $1.5 million over 4 years, but quit after losing enjoyment and disliking the content demands. Nala Ray, who made $10 million, described feeling like a pimped out puppet, citing trauma and disconnect as reasons to leave. And a former OnlyFans promoter, Victoria Sinis, warns that the majority of creators earn very little, averaging $180 a month per month, you guys. $180, citing mental health struggles and stigma, and of course difficulty transitioning careers afterwards. Is this worth it or not? In 2025 we also have this whole boom of 18-year-olds starting their OnlyFans, like the moment they became legal to do it. And this is a problem. We need to talk about this. We need to address it. The problem is that they are scrolling social medias and getting all of these OnlyFans girls promoting OnlyFans to them, telling them how awesome it is. But there is a big secret behind it. Every time they promote it and every time they get a client using their code, they get a commission out of it. It is their job to promote it and recruit more people. It is a pyramid scheme, and that's what a lot of girls don't know. But today we're gonna check out a video by Altiori called "Does OnlyFans Ruin Your Life?" So let's go.
The amount of people that have sent me and my husband death, the amount of people who have sent my husband things from my past consistently week by week is like so hard for him to deal with, and then for me to be like ashamed about, because I'm constantly being reminded of the things I've done when I just want to live.
I'm an OnlyFans model and a mom of 4.
Is it really that bad if you're an OF creator? I mean, you'll never feel like you want for love because it's like being in a relationship with thousands of people. It's one of those rare cases where you can meet someone in public and they recognize you, but they also know what you look like beneath your clothes. And that's probably the first thing they think about when they see you. Can you imagine someone walking up to you and they say, "Hey, I know you. I watch you on OF.
And I know how your flower looks like, with all its colors and shades and shapes. Like, ew, ew. How are you able to even have a conversation with someone who have seen your darkest moments and who is not your boyfriend or husband?
You're my favorite creator." Or maybe you're out of that industry and you're trying to move on with your life and you keep getting reminded of it, or you try to sign up for a job or something and your employers find out that you used to open your legs for millions of people all over the world.
Yeah,
and
no,
suddenly they're
doesn't
like,
work.
"You know what? I don't think you're going to be a right fit for this brand," even though you're no longer doing those things. So you probably feel like you have to go back and do it again because the only jobs that will take you are jobs that you don't necessarily want to do, like doing a service for people, like picking up trash or giving people a Happy Meal. Maybe you end up in a happy relationship until your boyfriend's friends recognize you, or his parents. No more happy relationship. And there's a lot of discussion about this and people wondering, oh, is it really that bad if you are that kind of content creator? Because in your mind, you're probably giving people a service that is required, and it's no different than somebody who sings or entertains people for a living. You're just doing it in a very special way.
To own a salon, and now I'm making over $50,000 a month.
What do you think?
I think there is 100% a stigma around being an OnlyFans model who is a mom.
And a lot of people might be confused and wonder, what is the big issue with airing out my back door for millions of people to see? I mean, it's my body. I should have the right to express myself the way I want to and use my body the way I want in order to get what I want. Nothing wrong with that, right? Unfortunately, yes, the kind of work...
No, it actually is completely wrong. Yes, it is your body, but if you are committing to a relationship and you become a wife, or you are committing to becoming someone's mom, it is not just your body. All right, it represents so much more than just a physical, materialistic body. You are not just giving up your body, you are giving up your morals. You are putting your future kids into bullying, into a lot of social anxiety and difficulties. And yeah, it's not just giving up on a body, it's giving up on a normal life. Privacy is very important. Intimacy is very important. And there is a reason for it.
That's tied to You cannot escape from that. For the longest while, people who do spicy work are always seen as the scarlet letter wearers, and people have made arguments saying that that kind of work is misunderstood and criminalized. And Western society, especially, carries centuries of shame that's rooted in religion, patriarchal, and colonial traditions. That's the argument that people are making to explain why it's archaic that people would look down on people like this. And while it might be unfair for people to put a stigma on this, sometimes, just sometimes, stigmas exist for a reason. Well, to understand why it's a stigma in the first place, we first have to understand human beings as a species and why their psychology and their biology and how that plays a part in how humans think and the repercussions or consequences of certain actions within society. First of all, the internet has completely flipped how we think about love and relationships. Yes, I agree that people should be free to do what they want with their own bodies, but if we're talking about the effect of platforms like Tinder and OnlyFans on human being society, technically, we're not really built for this, not biologically, and not emotionally or socially either. And a lot of people also believe that the more that we normalize this stuff, especially without thinking critically, is the more we're getting all kind of like, weird. And I think the argument can be made that in our ancestors' times, like prehistoric times, being intimate and love and all that stuff was kind of connected, and your brain would release these chemicals when you got physically close to someone. You get close to that person, and then your body starts releasing oxytocin and dopamine and all that good stuff, and all that does is help you bond and trust and stick around with that person. That's how we survived as a species. Now people are existing in a world where your brain is being hit with the same chemicals, watching strangers on screens or performing for people that you don't even know. And yeah, as a result, it kind of messes with your ability to connect in real life, and you end up feeling numb and burnt out, and you're like, why can't I find a date? Or you're just straight up not interested in anyone anymore, or anything real or breeding, because you're getting this constant high on stimulation without having to build real emotional closeness and do any of the work. So that rewires your whole reward system, and why would you bother going for a relationship when you get the same dopamine high out of just watching some woman online and then you're beating your crock without having to deal with the drama? Same thing with the women. If they're getting
I already made videos about that, and for example the Gen Z and why they don't want sex and intimacy and relationships, they go for the alternative experience of that digital sexualization because it is way easier, and OnlyFans is one of the easiest way for them to get the pleasure they want without having to deal with the drama and the problems that comes with and the complexity that comes with the relationships. But that's what is wrong, that like it's not only the complexity, being in a relationship, having a husband or a wife, having a family of your own, it is what life is all about. It is so much more than these complexities that they are mentioning, but people keep hearing from outside perspective about these problems, about the drama, because what news are all about negativity. We always keep hearing about the negative side of it without experiencing the good side. We don't know about the good side. So there are a lot of lonely men and women out there, especially men out there, who do choose the alternative because they don't want to deal with it, even though they almost never dealt with it, or they had one or two bad experiences, and based on that decided that it's like that forever.
Same dopamine response by getting resources. They don't have to pair themselves with a dude because they can just do whatever they do and show their stuff, and people just give them money and give them attention, and they get stability from that. Then it kind of replaces the need to go out there and find a mate to build a life with. And so here you have it. I'm not necessarily talking about the whole body count conversation because that's a whole different thing. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you do repeatedly hook up or perform snooky with people, and you're constantly doing it over and over again, whether that be physically or you're watching it, you're kind of doing the deed and getting the same dopamine response without real connection. And over time, your brain stops associating that action of being with someone with closeness or love. It just becomes something that you do. It becomes a transaction. That basically is what society has become, and it feels great. Not gonna lie, it feels amazing when you're watching that content. You're like, oh, this is easy. I don't have to worry about it. I have to ask someone to spread their legs just so I can get a nut off. I can just do what I gotta do and keep it moving and don't get all the drama and blah, blah, blah. But fast forward a few years, and you have people that don't know how to date. They don't know how to talk to each other. Nobody knows how to talk to each other anymore. It's like,
and especially it is so weird when you see a 30 plus years old who doesn't know how to communicate, especially with women, because he never had the experience. He never went out there and did it, and now he is too afraid to do it, and he is in his own bubble, so relaxed, and he doesn't want to even face the fears of approaching a woman. And that's why we have a lot of lonely men and women, but especially lonely men out there.
the society has become so connected through social media and the internet, but yet they're so disconnected because you're existing in a state of mental and social castration where you depend on everything that you feel and get from online to make you happy instead of the reward center of doing it in real life with real bodies. Then you put stuff like the chatbots into the mix, and boom, you can create intimacy there too. There's this whole other argument about women not knowing how to treat men and vice versa, and I get it. If you don't have to because you can get the same result somewhere else much easier, why would you put in the work when you could just call off? You want a real flesh and body, you could just go on Tinder, someone comes over, they smash, they leave, you do it all over again with someone else, and Bob's your uncle. Or maybe he's not. And men are wired to chase novelty, but they're meant to chase it in the real world, but that's completely hijacked, so now they're chasing it digitally or at their fingertips. Women no longer have to work to emotionally bond to anyone because they're having all these casual encounters, and it's just bouncing around from person to person. You're not even in the same tribe. That person doesn't have your back. If you're sleeping outside and someone decides to shit on your head, no one's gonna be there to help you.
But yet I keep things I've done when I just want to live. I'm out of it now. I know I'm out of it, but yet I keep getting brought back to that.
Why do you think they want to punish you so much?
I don't quite know. I really can't wrap my head around it. I would never.
No, it's not about punishing you. Once you cross that line, there is almost never going back to your original self. You know, there are consequences that you will have to deal with forever because you publish it online, and once it's published public there, even though you think it's only on OnlyFans, and if you delete your account, like as if all the pictures are gone, no. There is Reddit, there is social media, there is other people privately sending it to other private people. So yeah.
Send anybody anything that was that hateful.
And it's kind of sad because humans didn't evolve.
I would never send anybody anything that was that hateful.
And it's kind of sad because humans didn't evolve to be seen by hundreds and thousands and millions of people, especially when you're naked and you're most vulnerable. Like, that's supposed to be something private. And honestly, humans are the kind of creatures that are made to exist in very small tribes or societies where they can depend on each other and bond with each other. That's why if you look at cities now, wherever there's way too many Homo sapiens crushed into one area or overpopulated, there's usually an influx of crime. Why? Because there's no accountability. Why would there be? There's too many of you. You can disappear into the crowd. You can't control all those people. There's no tight-knit communities because there's so many people. Plus, with the influx of the population and these people being cramped together, you're going to have more hostile situations because there's so many people packed together that don't know each other from varying tribes from all over in an unnatural environment where they're not out in the wild and living naturally as humans have been intended to and how they evolved to. You'll notice that whenever there's a stigma, it is usually something tied in biology by the way that humans react to things. I mean, when you really sit down and think about it, these stigmas usually stem from something biological. A stigma is a very strong, or most of the time negative, social reaction to someone who is perceived different or threatening or not normal or not like the rest of us. And it can be about your behavior, where you come from, your appearance. There are a lot of these that are program responses, yes, but many of these are biologically programmed responses that are tied to survival instincts from when human beings lived in small tribal and vulnerable groups. And the problem is our instincts has not really evolved as fast as society has via technology and industrialization and all that. So some of that ancient wiring is still messing with everything. We haven't caught up to what we were able to achieve. Our instincts are very much a part of it. That's why we can't get past freaking politics and all that crap that doesn't...
No, it is so true. We are not built to live in a world that is overpopulated. We are built to live in a smaller society and depend on the people around us. Back then, people would have so many kids and they would have more health, mental health, for example, because they were able to count on many people to raise their kids and help them raise their children. Today, you feel families, fathers and mothers feel more and more lonely, having to account for daycare and giving their kids to some people they don't even know to raise them. So it is very difficult. And then you have the mom guilt, the dad guilt, and it is very annoying, but it is what it is. And it is very difficult to live in this society. So it's completely different. We cannot count on people anymore, not even our family and friends, because majority of the time they are either far away or very busy, living a very busy life. And keep in mind, we have made ourselves way more busy than ever. Now it's not like one person works in the family. Like now we have both people working the family, overworking 8 hours plus 10 hours, having only 2 days off, sometimes 1 day off. Like it is sad. It is our situation is sad. We have put ourselves and our lives into so much stress, and we don't know how to deal with it.
Really matter, because at the core, human beings are still living as cavemen in our minds. I mean, think about it for a second. The stigma around body size, whether you're too fat or too skinny. Someone who is way too thin is seen as sick or malnourished or dying or has some kind of disease, not a good mate, not a strong ally you can depend on to help you. On the flip side, being too fat, even though body fat is a good thing because you had energy reserves, way too much signals that you have low physical endurance, reduced mobility, something is wrong with you, increased likelihood of disease, heart issues, hormonal imbalance, which can affect fertility, and so people have subconscious red flags going on about that. And when people try to explain this, they see it as, oh, you're not supposed to talk about this, that's not fair. Nobody's trying to be mean, it's primitive brain logic. It's not that people are personally judging people and being mean to them just to be mean to them. There's usually a reason for this, and you usually see the effects of it. Like when someone is so freaking obese to the point where they can't move and their body is rotting out from underneath them, they can't breathe, and their heart can't pump normally, and they need oxygen. You cannot tell me health at every freaking size.
No.
You cannot then call people fat phobic for looking at this and thinking, hot damn, don't think I want that as a mate. There's those same stigmas against skin color and ethnic appearance. And I'm not talking about something that comes from racism in the modern political sense, but the biological root of this is tribalism. Because for tens and thousands of years, humans lived in very small and tight-knit tribes, and outsiders or people who didn't look like your family usually meant danger. People who didn't look like you or sound like you or behave like you might have brought disease, violence, or competition for resources.
Yeah, and that's why like people have preferences, and that doesn't mean that you are phobic. You know, like if you prefer a white person instead of a black person, then that doesn't mean that you are racist. All right, that only means that you have preference, that it's your body, how your body feels. You cannot just lie and cheat your way. Like that is how you feel. And it's completely fine.
So human evolution was basically like, ooh, I'm suspicious of that person. It's not from my group, possibly a threat. The fact that humans have very violent and aggressive tendencies is seen in all this research. And the fact that we even see even modern day apes competing and fighting with each other can give us some possible insight into why human beings act the way they do. And this instinct is why people now feel uneasy around strangers or unfamiliar faces. It's the same reason why people might feel more comfortable marrying within their culture, not necessarily out of hate, but from this deeply embedded sense of safety and predictability. And we all are educated enough to know that, yeah, obviously if you're a different skin color, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to eat someone or take their food. Probably not. But for a lot of humans, that hasn't updated yet. That part of their biology hasn't updated yet. And that goes with a lot of things. The stigma around disabilities and all that stuff, you're not getting rid of those. And so yeah, this brings us back to the spicy content stuff.
If I was doing this or if I wasn't, they would still have to deal with the fact that they have a hot mom. I also think that because my kids are little badasses, that they'll whoop somebody's butt for talking crap on their mom.
What the hell?
Trust me, I do think it's also unfair for women to be judged by a completely different standard than men are judged. I absolutely hate it. But if we're talking about biology...
So what she's doing is actually teaching her children that the only way they can get advancements in life and for people to respect them is to beat them into respecting them. Wow, what a great lesson indeed. We are not raising bullies out there. We are not raising anger management.
And in the case of evolutionary terms, the reason why this whole promiscuity promiscuity thing is so taboo in the first place, especially to men, why they don't respect that, or they don't trust it, or they look down on it, is because a woman who sleeps with a lot of partners usually means that if they have a child, it is unclear who the father is, and that is a threat to the male investment in the offspring. And also, on the flip side, this is another thing too, because men don't escape from it either. A man who sleeps around, possible lack of loyalty, unstable pair bond, threat to raising children successfully because they'll just take off and go somewhere else. Now that is a little bit more excused if the guy has a lot of resources and many females, because that means he can take care of many of them at the same time. So I know a lot of you are probably like, well, what was the point of you babbling on about that? Seriously. Because a lot of these creators end up coming out here and crying either when they enter this kind of work or they exit it, because they're wondering, why are people like this and why are people treating me like this? And they don't understand why they just can't live their life and do whatever they want to do and then come back after they're all done and then find a partner who will love them and respect them, or who will have an issue with people negatively perceiving them for their choices, because everyone should just accept what they do. They also get mad that when they try to go back out in the dating world, people don't want to settle down or do the bare minimum for them. But why should they? If they exist in a world where they can just get everything for free. And the OnlyFans models or the OnlyFans creators will come out and say, well, it's not fair because the same men who were judging you are the same men who watch your content. That is true, but the more you make the content is the more men end up watching it, is the more men end up downplaying the respect you should give to women, is the more they're like, why should I even bother respecting women? I don't need them because I can get 100 of them at the tip of my fingers anyway. And then the same men who are always talking about women be hoes these days, society is doomed, are the same ones going out there and supporting these people.
Exactly. Let's be honest. Yes, women are using OnlyFans to earn the money and make a career out of it and using the easy way out. But they would not be able to do that if men out there would not be paying and investing and supporting that. So if women are not gonna be choosing not to do it, I think then we need to beg men to stop using OnlyFans and stop supporting women like that.
Straight up creating the very problem that they claim is plaguing their society. Meanwhile, they're directly contributing to it. Make it make sense. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting topic because everyone's always guessing around, but seem to not get the psychology or the biology behind why certain things exist the way they do. But that is why. That being said, do whatever you want, have whatever job you want. But just like any other occupation that you choose that has hazards and consequences, for example, if you work in construction, you might have back and knee issues, you might fall. If you work as an electrician, you probably at one point in your life are gonna get electrocuted, possibly die. If you're a policeman or a firefighter, you're gonna be away for long hours. It's possible that your relationship might not last if you're with a woman who needs you to be around, or if you're in the military as a man or a woman and you're gonna be gone for long periods of time. It is possible that you're risking your relationship being open to someone else because your partner will get lonely. There's just certain things that come with certain environments or occupations. It just is what it is. And the same thing goes for spicy content workers. Just understand that when you're giving your goods away, that you are sacrificing and speccing into something that you won't be able to come back from later. You can live like a king, just understand that you probably are gonna end up lonely like one.
You can have all the money in the world, but what is the worth of money if you cannot share it with someone, or if you cannot buy with it respect or love? It is sad. It is, it's such a big problem that I don't know where to start to end it, and from which perspective inside, and from who, men or women. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this topic. Do you agree, disagree? And let's continue chatting.